First off, thank you for having me. It's important that people and the voters in Walpole understand this upcoming ballot question on October 24th. And this is about the construction of the new Tri-County High School. It's going out to all the 11 districts in the Tri-County Schools District. So there's 11 towns, and Walpole is one of them. The school was built in 1977, and it's coming up on 50 years old, and it's time for either reconstruction or a renovation. And of course, there will be tax implications for the town of Walpole and the 10 communities that are part of the Tri-County District, meaning it's going to be an increase in taxes. So the financial breakdown, this is a expensive project. Vocational schools are expensive to build because they're so specialized. And the cost that we're looking at for the new school is $282 million. Of that, $82 million will be reimbursed by the Massachusetts School Building Authority. So that will bring the cost down for the 11 towns in the district to $200 million, and that will be divided up amongst the towns. So that's what the towns are looking at. The other thing is, I actually calculated what it would cost for the average taxpayer in Walpole, assuming that the average home now in Walpole, it's assessed at $700,000, and it would come out to be $125.78 per year. So that's what each resident of Walpole, on average, would be looking at for a home, an increase of $125 for a school that serves. In this case, right now, we have about 90 students from Walpole that are going to Tri-County. This isn't a option of either we're not going to pay any money or we're going to pay for a new school. What we're looking at, as any school you would expect after 50 years of existence, it's coming up that it's going to need major renovations. Things are going to have to be brought up to codes. Old facilities need to be renovated. And so they've done an assessment of the school, and it turns out that it's going to cost about $150 million to bring the school up to proper codes and function into the future. So that's what the town of Walpole and all the other towns in the district are looking at, an expenditure divided up amongst all the towns of $150 million for the building, or a new school that would cost $282 million, with $82 million from the state school fund. And then finally, that, as I said earlier, that would break down to $200 million divided up. So what we're looking at is a renovation that's going to be expensive, or a brand new school that's also going to be expensive. Having a local vocational technical high school is really an important thing for a community. These are the schools that train plumbers, electricians, cosmetologists. In fact, I'm going to read the list of majors that are offered at Tri-County: automotive technology, carpentry, computer information systems, culinary arts, dental assisting, early education, electrical technology, engineering technology, graphic communications, heating, ventilation, air conditioning and refrigeration, legal and protective services, medical careers, metal fabrication, and plumbing and heating. So those are the majors and career paths that are offered to high school kids. And what's so important about this for Walpole, as any community, if you want the future to be able to get an electrician, have your hair done, have your heating and ventilation repaired, any of these things, have your cars worked on, these are the people that will be doing it in the future. And Tri-County has graduated thousands of students over the years, and hundreds and hundreds from Walpole have gone to Tri-County, and in many cases they're living back in the community, working in the community, and providing the services that we need. Similar to when Walpole recently, or as we know, it's under construction, the new middle school, it went through the same process with the state Massachusetts School Building Authority, and there's a lot of things that a community has to do to make sure that the school is needed, that it's being well designed, that it meets the the criteria for the town. And Tri-County has gone through all those steps. I've only been on the board for just about a year now, so a lot of this work started before I was on the board, and they've gone through all the requirements, and they wouldn't get the funding from the state if things weren't done correctly, and showing the need for this type of improvement to the school and to serve the students in our area. I think it's important that taxpayers and voters know that Tri-County looked at different options. They looked at the possibility of just doing renovations. But really what it came down to was, does it make sense to renovate a building that's going to cost $150 million, and then you still have an old building that's been renovated? And does it make more sense to spend the money and get a modern building that's really going to serve for the next 50 or 60 years? The other thing that I found interesting when I was researching a lot of this information, turns out that the functional life of a school is only about 60 years. And after 60 years, what it said in one of the publications I read was schools are abandoned. And that means that they're turned into something else. It might be like we're sitting here in Town Hall. This used to be a school, but it would no longer function as a school. We look at Bird Middle School. That was just about 60 years old, maybe a little under 60 years old, so between the 50 and 60 years old. And it's at the end of its useful life. Education has also changed. We don't educate students in the same type of classroom, in the same facilities that we had in the past, and particularly in vocational schools. A lot has changed over the past 50 years. So it is time that we spend the money and update the facilities at Tri-County. And it's so important that people come out to vote for this, and whether you're in favor of it or opposed, I hope you're in favor of it, but democracy is important. And come out, vote, have your voice heard, and think about, what does this mean for the future of Walpole? And what it means is that students are going to have the ability to get a good vocational education at Tri-County if it passes. And also, it's good for the community of Walpole, because we're going to have trained people in these areas. And these are great jobs. These are great career paths for young people, and they can stay in the community and have jobs that are going to contribute to our community.
When I was hired 2 years ago, the thought of the school committee at that time was that we would need a remodel of this school building. Tri-County was built in 1973. It's a 50-year-old building that is used from 7 o'clock in the morning until 10:30 in the evening. We have high school programs here. We have adult programs here. So it does have a lot of wear and tear just on a regular day. And the nature of the building being a vocational school, we have 16 career programs, and some of those are industrial programs, plumbing and carpentry, HVAC, and so forth. So the use of the building is a little on the heavy side, I would say, compared to a comprehensive school where it's an academic-based curriculum. Here, where we teach the vocational programs, we have a lot more wear and tear on the facility. So having a 50-year-old facility and the amount of usage that it gets, unfortunately, we're not in a situation where we could remodel. After we had done the feasibility study with the Mass School Building Authority, it was determined that it would cost just as much to remodel as it would be to rebuild a new school. So at that point, we went through the process of doing the more in-depth study and went back to the Mass School Building Authority with the application. And at the end of August, they gave us the go-ahead to move forward with the project. So what happens then is, because Tri-County is 11 communities, we now go to the communities on October 24th and ask their approval to move forward with the building project. The estimate cost of the building project is $286 million, which is a substantial amount of money for a structure, but it will last for 50 years. The towns have 30 years to pay their portion of it, and we are anticipating a sizable grant from the state of $82 million of that. So it's The timing is, we can't wait any longer. We're in a situation where the facility is failing, pipes are breaking and parts of the roof collapse. Like it's just in a situation where we need to address it. The plumbing, it's not to code, which means that if you were to build it today, the plumbing would look much different than it does now. So we have situations where we have chronic backups through the system. There are times that we have to shut down sides of the building, but the water on different sides of the building for the restrooms or so forth. It impacts us because, again, where this building was built in 1973, we didn't have the internet back then. Everything was paper and pencil. Now this building, just like every other school in the state of Massachusetts, we have a very high need for technology, but we don't have the infrastructure in this building to support it. And we don't even have the ability to add to it because it's so old. The concept when they built this building was to put everything out of sight. All of the plumbing is under the floors or in the walls. The electrical is in the walls. It's very difficult to get to things to repair them, and it's very difficult to know that you have an issue until something catastrophic happens, like a collapsed ceiling because there's a broken pipe. The new facility, all of the new design, you see it in a lot of schools now, a lot of buildings for that matter. All of the piping and everything would be exposed and sort of part of the decoration, which makes it an easier access, and it would be easier to upgrade things as you go along. The point of having a vocational school is to support the industry in the area, right? So Tri-County graduates on an average 25 electricians a year, 25 plumbers a year, and the list goes all the way through our 16 programs, including medical. We have a health assisting program and a medical assisting program and a dental program. All of those programs put workers in this area to support the residents and the needs in this area. That's what the school is for. We not only do that with high school students, but we also have a very robust adult education component as well, where we retrain people to go back into the workforce in the needs in this area. A new facility would give us the opportunity to continue with that, but on a more modern scale, and certainly allow our students to have exposure to the equipment and the programming in their industry that is more up to date and more current. And again, with having that grant from the MSBA, that $82 million grant, it's basically a coupon that the state is giving us to help offset the cost of this building. If it were voted down, the problem with that would be that we still need to fix the facility. We still would then have to bring the building immediately to code, which right now it is not to code. We're not in the electrical code, no plumbing code. We don't have a fire suppression system because when the building was built, it didn't need it. But we would have to, in order to make any modifications, bring the building to code, ADA compliance, all of that, and that itself is $165 million. So you're looking at repairing a building that's 50 years old, bringing it to code, and then still having a 50-year-old building, right? So, and you lose the grant. We wouldn't have that grant. So it's one of those kind of catch-22s that the need is there. We know that the need is there, and we really want to take advantage of that reimbursement from the state. Tri-County is 11 towns from Sherburne all the way to Seekonk, and if you take all of our 11 towns and look at them together as one great big town, that's how the vote works. The residents will have the ability to come out at the same time on the same day, which is October 24th, from noon until 8, and cast their ballot for to approve the school or to not approve the school. And then all of those votes are calculated together as one great big town, really, of 11 towns. So it's not that if the people in Sherburne say yes, and then the people in Franklin say yes, and the people in Millis say no, or Medway say, it's not that way at all. It's all 11 counted up together. So by the state law, which is Chapter 70, Section 16, it talks about the time, the time of the vote. And that law requires that the regional election like this, it's called, be from 4 to 8 hours. can't go over 8 hours, and it can't be under 4 hours, where your regular elections are 12 hours. So that's confusing to people as well, because they're like, why are you only having it for 8 hours? Well, the state law dictates that it's from 4 to 8 hours. So our town clerks, all 11, have been together a few times to talk about it, and they settled on the 8 hours. They would like to have it as open as long as they could. So it's 8 hours from noon until 8 o'clock. We're aware that there are, at the same time, in town, competing projects that are looking to be supported, but we are in a situation where this building has become like an old car, that at some point you have to stop putting money into it and just get the new car.